So what's your journey been like so far?
So I arrived in LA almost a year ago, and it's been a difficult year, I guess. It's been a long journey. It's very different out here to how it is at home, and there's a lot to learn that you wouldn't think about because you think that the industries are the same as at home, but the entertainment industry in LA is way different because LA is an industry town. So everybody that moves here, generally, everybody that lives here and works here in some capacity works in the entertainment industry. So it's not like a home where a trade is like plumbing. Here, a trade is acting or singing. So everybody does it. So it's really different. There's a lot of competition, and it also means that everybody knows everything about the industry. So to get above these people, you kind of have to learn as much as you possibly can and figure out where they're going wrong and how you can do it better.
And
So
your
it's been
first
good.
audition, how did that go?
Okay, my first audition when I moved here was for a TV pilot for ABC Family called Baby Daddy, and I went in for the role of Tucker, which is the best friend of the lead character, and it was really good actually for a first audition. And actually, casting, they called my manager afterwards to say that they really liked me, and I did a really good read, which is what it's called when you do a first audition. It's called a pre-read. But they decided that they were going to go in a different.
Oh.
I met the casting director, and I made a fan of the casting director, which is a good thing because that's what you aim to do in every audition when you don't book the role.
So what do you expect to achieve?
What do I expect to achieve? The things. Hopefully next time I'll book the role, but in the long run I would like to be on a TV series and doing movies in the summer and producing and writing as well all the time.
So you say producing, we researched that you have a company, a production company called KC Productions. What's
Yeah.
all that about? What do you do in this company?
Well, because it's such a competitive industry in LA and you're competing against people, like I go in for roles up against people that have got tons and tons of credits and have been in tons of movies. Like I go up against guys that are on like MTV shows, and I've been up for auditions against guys that have been on Disney shows and in Disney movies.
So you say about KC Productions is a production company. What does that do exactly?
Well, because the industry is so different out here and it's so much more easy to compete with people that you would know. Like I go into auditions all the time against people who are on MTV shows and Disney shows and things like that, and I lose out on a lot of roles to people who have a million credits because it's difficult for them, even when a person is better, to cast somebody who has no credits when they can cast somebody who already has a million fans, and then they have like an automatic viewer for their new movie or their new TV show. So the way that we tried to get around that is to make a production company so we could put our own series into production, which was originally called the Hollywood Life and is now called the Valley, so that we could try and be a little bit clever and hopefully get that first credit instead of waiting for one person to take a chance on us, to give ourselves that chance and give ourselves that credit and try and create a product and a fan base so that we can be at the same level as some of the other guys. And also because we don't really want to sit around waiting for things to happen. There are a lot of people in this town that do that. We wanted to start working and start acting and being in front of the camera, and so we decided that being behind the camera in order to get in front of it would help us out.
Has that cost you a lot of money to set up in the first place, though?
I mean, we had to buy a lot of equipment and that kind of things, but if you're clever about it, it doesn't cost nearly as much money as you think, and if you know what you're doing, it also doesn't cost as much as you think. You can teach yourself a lot of stuff, and you can, it's a whole industry town, so all of our friends are in the industry, and we can get a lot of favors from our friends by giving them favors back. So when we shoot show reels, if we ask our friends to be in it, then they get a whole scene, which would usually cost $500 for free, but they're actually helping us out. So if we, make like one of my friends who's a host, we produce this show for him where he can host, and in return he does favors for us. So it's all about having each other's back, which is something that you definitely need in this town because a lot of people don't.
So to emigrate over to America from England, how competitive is it? And would you say it's a lot harder over there to what it is here to act?
Okay, it's probably not harder because even though there are millions more people here, coming from England, in order to get the visa, you have to have done a lot of training and, been to uni and done a lot of work and worked on sets, like I worked on short films and all that kind of stuff before I moved out here. So once I got here, I was already a step up in a lot of people, because in order for anybody who's English or Australian or any other culture to move to America, they have to have a visa which says that you are qualified to be an actor, basically. Whereas most American people that want to get into the industry, if they want to be an actor, they just move to LA. So by already having lessons and having worked, you're already a couple of steps up. And also because your visa has an expiration date and you have to work before your visa gets renewed, you kind of try a lot harder than some of the people that take for granted the fact that they can just be here. So yeah, it's probably not harder though, because you get to compete if you have a good enough agent or a good enough manager with people who are already famous. So you can be going and sitting in a room opposite somebody like one of my roommates just went up and was in an audition with somebody who's on the lead of a huge ABC Family show. And she was auditioning against her, and she doesn't have many credits, and the girl from ABC Family is like a superstar with 1 million Twitter followers, and they're going in for the same thing. Whereas that never really happened in England, because in England you kind of either go up against unknowns or you are famous and you're going up against other famous people. Whereas here people kind of see you more evenly. Even though there are 1 million more people, there are 1 million more TV shows, because anything that films in LA or New York or Canada all casts in Los Angeles. So all of those auditions are here, and also a lot of English shows are now starting to cast out here too. So stuff like House of Anubis and Torchwood actually cast in LA but film in England. So you wouldn't even be able to audition for those shows in England.
A lot of people who
So
move over to Hollywood have a passion for acting, but they crave fame. So does that not mean you're all fighting for the same thing?
not really. You kind of have to be in this industry for the right reasons, because the people who do it to crave fame go about it a lot differently. If you do it because you want to act, then you're in classes all the time learning. You're doing everything you can. You're producing your own work. You're taking every opportunity to submit for things all the time. Whereas the people who want to act are trying to get into the hot clubs, and they're trying to play the roles that don't really have many lines, or they don't take classes, and they don't, they don't get the right opportunities. The people that come here to get famous usually get suck out pretty fast. And they also sink pretty fast too, because if that's the reason why you're in it, then you shouldn't be, because when you first start out, you don't really get paid very much. So if you have a couple lines on a TV show, like if you have like 2 scenes on something like Glee or something like that, you're going to get paid about $2,000, which seems like a lot of money, but you can't live off that for 6 months. So like you have to be working at it constantly all the time, and if you're just doing it for the fame, then those are the people that get bored and go home.
So where would you see yourself in 5 years' time?
In 5 years, I see myself on a TV show, probably on a sitcom, hopefully something like Friends, but you never know if something like that's going to come along again. But yeah, I definitely see myself on a TV show, and hopefully the stuff that we're producing through KC Productions is also out there too, so that when I'm not acting on a TV show, I'm also working on a million other projects too, because I really want to be involved with doing this all day, every day, and not just working on a TV show and then going and chilling out. I want to make sure that I have a million things going on, because it's what I love to do, and I want to be doing it as much as I can.
Would you recommend people to emigrate over to America to follow what you have done?
Only if they are 100% serious about doing it. And also, honestly, the best advice is that somebody told me this, is that if you think you would be happy doing absolutely anything in the world, then do it, because the acting industry is probably the hardest thing to get into. So if you think that you can do anything else that's going to make you as happy, then do it.